All right, we got booted off for our live show, but it is okay. I'm going to get Maria back up here in a second. Hi, Maria. I'm trying to get you back on now. You
Okay.
see, it was because of the music. They were
Okay.
like, because
All
like
right.
it
So let's
contains.
jump on. Let's jump right into this thing because
Yeah.
acting. I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm not gonna come into agreement with anything acting up. But yeah.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. Hi, Maria. It's been a very long time since we've done the Embrace Our Legacy live show. We've had technical difficulties, but it's okay because we are back in action.
And we
So
were
tonight,
doing our summer institute. It's not like we
we're
were
doing
just
some
out here.
institute.
We were out here, changing lives all over this country. So we just wrapped up the program. So we've been busy.
Very busy, but we are back. We're here to talk.
Uh-huh.
Tonight, we're going to talk about girls' trip do's and don'ts. And let's be real, when you think about a girls' trip, you think about besties on the beach, mimosas, having fun. But it doesn't always end up being like that. And we're going to talk about it. So,
Uh-huh.
alongside me tonight, we have our founder and CEO, Marie Melendez. You know how we get down. Just a reminder that every live show is a donation opportunity. So, if you want to support what we do, you know, the Institute, all the fun things that you see on our page, you can text Embrace to 844-701-5181. Visit our website and read about us, and then, you know, donate from there. Or you can click the link in our bio, and I'll drop it below as well.
Got it.
That's it.
That's it. You sound so cool. You said mimosas, you sound mad Puerto Rican. I was like, you sound mad Puerto Rican from the Bronx. I said,
My accent came out. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
your Puerto Rican Bronx accent came out. She was like, "Cause on the beach drinking mimosas." It's
I'm
okay.
ready. I'm turning 21 soon. I'm ready to have them
I
all.
know. Everybody, please give a happy early birthday to the rock star, intern, assistant, social media manager Isis. Her birthday is coming in a couple of weeks, August 23rd. So just early birthday shout out to you. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this.
Hmm.
Number one, what does your ideal girls trip look like for you?
Okay. So honestly, it's fun. Like it's just fun. Ha ha kiki. Like I wanna ha 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 ha. Laugh laugh. Fun, laughing. Moments where we could connect with each other as women. I think, especially as you get older, those girls trips mean they hold a little bit more of a more significant value. And I'm saying that you don't care when you're 21, 25, but as you grow older and your responsibilities and your titles change, and now you add on title of mom, wife, principal, CEO, whatever. You cherish the moments with your girls so much more, even though they may be a little bit more fewer and farther between. They hold so much weight and it's such an importance. So for me, I love saying, "Hey, boo." Oh, I'm saying hi to people, but like I think like for me it's that like not only it's a ha ha kiki on girls trip, it's also connecting with each other as women, putting your hair down. I know when me and my girls go away now, it's like to be away from the kids, the husbands, the men's, the roles, the responsibilities. That's what it's about. Laughing until wee hours in the morning, dancing under the sun, doing stupid things that you would only do on vacation, like things like that. That's how I like. No fights, none of that. Just chilling. What's your ideas of a girls trip? What does that look like for you?
For me, same thing, having fun, making sure that our finances are set in stone so that we're not worried about anything. You know, if we got to spend, we're going to spend. Have
Mm-hmm.
time. Anywhere with a beach, I'm happy. Anywhere with a beach with some sun, I am happy.
Yeah.
Blue water, I'm fine.
Yep.
Ideal girls trip, not too many people.
Right.
I like a close knit group. If
Yeah.
people want to do fun, like want to do the parasailing and the jet ski and the
Right.
kayak and all that stuff, and yeah, just having a forgetting about all the responsibilities at home. You're just focused on the beach and having fun. That's what
Yeah.
my be.
I agree 1000%.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So for a girls trip, like where would you want to go, or and how far would you be willing to travel with your homegirls?
I mean, I'm good. We could go wherever to the moon together. I'll go wherever with my crew. It doesn't matter how far. I think like with girls trips, there are certain spaces that now for where I am in my life, I definitely think are more vacation. And I'm like, I'm not doing that with y'all. Like, no. Peace. I'm not doing that. It's too sweet. It's too beautiful. But I think for my girls, it's always like nice to do the tropical things. You can never go wrong with the beach. I prefer a beach for a girls trip. Like, because I could just go retreat to the beach anytime somebody gets on my nerves, or it's just good to just sit out in the sun. Also, for me, I think Vegas is dope for girls trips. You know, I think that's a dope girl trip. So I know me and my girlfriends, we were touring around going to Colombia this month. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna go this month. I am gonna go sometime before the end of the year is over. But things like that. So I think anything tropical, Vegas is always a good time with your girls. And to be honest, it really doesn't even matter the location. And most of the time, like me and my friends will make fun out of. We could go to, you know, Mobile, Alabama, and we'll find something to do in Mobile, Alabama. Like we just, it's like because we all have similar personalities, temperaments. We all know what to do. We'll make the most out of any situation. But I do prefer something tropical, beachy, or Vegasy, you know, with my friends.
All right. Fair.
What about you? You have a trip coming up.
I do.
Yes, you do have a trip. It's a girls' trip, right?
It is a girls' trip, ironically enough.
And wait, yeah, going to Miami. Perfect. I think that's a perfect. See, when I hear Miami, I think girls' trip, not vacation. You know, that's a place that I wouldn't want to go with my boo because I'm like, I don't want to have to slap nobody. You understand? So,
I don't be on the boardwalk fighting for my man. Like, you know,
you understand? And vice versa, because you know I don't want him to feel like he got to get busy too. So let's avoid places like that on a couples trip. But a girls trip, I feel like Miami's beautiful for a girls trip.
Yeah, for me, going to Miami, I would love to do Vegas. Anything in the States, I feel like is definitely safe for a girls trip. Tropical, Puerto Rico, stuff like that. Jamaica, I feel like you could do both. You could do vacation. You could
You can.
Right. But a place like Santorini or Greece or anything like that, I would not do a girls trip.
That's big. That's big. You know, it's so crazy. One of my good my good boo friends. I don't know if you ever met him before, but he just left Greece, Santorini, all of that, and he was posting his tail away, and I said, brother man, I want to go, but I said I refuse to go there on a girls trip, on a family trip. That is me and Bay, and only me and Bay. Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. I feel like for me, because I am young, a lot of my friends, you know, were just getting into jobs and a certain amount of money. So, you know, we're keeping it more local. But as older, save more money, then I would definitely branch out. I don't really have a how far. I would go anywhere, but certain destinations are for certain people.
Yeah, certain destinations are for certain people. And then too, for me, I think as growing with like family, like I have a cousin who just went back. She went to Paris and London with her husband and her two daughters. You know, so certain things, certain spaces, I guess. Can you still hear me? My AirPod is
yeah,
okay. So certain spaces you consider like who the environment is, and then like you have couples trips, because a couples trip can still be a girls trip. Like if you and your girls and her man and stuff like that, that's another thing. So it's just like you kind of it depends on the people group on where you want to go.
100%. And like to piggyback on the people, how do you manage the tension or conflict when you're with girls?
Let me tell you what I'm not finna do on vacation. I'm not finna be nobody's therapist, counselor, mediator. We are all grown. You know, maybe y'all it's still in your early 20s, so y'all still figuring out. I'm like, if you ain't do the work, vacation is not the time to do the work, right? So I feel like for me, it's like I'm the queen of it. Don't got nothing to do with me, mind my business. Like, y'all gonna figure that out. And I think like if conflict of tension does happen, like again, knowing who's on a trip and knowing people's personalities, essentially managing your expectations. If you know you got that one friend who's always counting the pennies, like, oh, my bill was $74, yours was 68, yours was 52. Manage your expectations, know what to expect from them. So I think that's like this kind of like preparing yourself beforehand, like, oh, that's that one friend that we're gonna have to drag her home because she get drunk, whatever. Like, you know who your personalities are. So I think like kind of like preparing yourself beforehand, and if something pops off and it has nothing to do with you, mind your business. Like, if your friends saw again, I'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta deal with it. And then like I think too, if conflict does happen, I think it's okay to take a moment, to take a break from each other. Back to my comment, like, that's why like a beach is like, you know what, she getting on my nerves right now. Let me just walk to the beach, have me a little Bahama Mama or something on the beach, sit down, woosah for maybe like an hour or two, go into the water and come back and get that together. I think it should be very okay. And I want people to listen to this, because some girls get a little too like, they want everyone to be together all the time. I think it's very okay for people to dip off and be solo, maybe meet somebody, kiki over there, and come back together. I think that should be a cardinal rule for girls trips. Y'all do not have to be together all of the trip. Like, you can go and do your own thing for like a moment or two. What about you?
For me, I have done a like staycation, like a birthday vacation, where everybody put money in. We had like an Airbnb for them. So it's not necessarily a girls trip, but it involved like people getting together. So we had one person that was having conflict with the rest of the group. And mind you, for me, it was my birthday. So they're having their conflict with the rest of the group. It's like, I'm the person that invited her. So now they're all looking like, hello, homegirl. So how did I navigate that? I had to have a talk with old sister girl. I'm like, I invited you here for me so that we can enjoy and celebrate me.
Right.
Now, if you feel like you can't do that effectively with other people, because whether it's like you have an issue with them or you don't
Right.
them, then like I will give you grace and I will allow you to sit this one out if that's what you want to do. It was a lot of tugging, like, oh, I want to go, but I don't want to be around. Da, 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 da. And after a while, she was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go. I am not friends with her to the day. Not because of that, but like because it just ended up becoming more of an issue when it came to homegirls and stuff like that. But that took a lot out of me to be like, you know what, like, I want all my friends there, but it's like, you're having a hard time. So like, how are we going to deal with this? So I feel like having those conversations, the uncomfortable ones, we don't like the uncomfortable conversations, but we got to have them. You're not having or like, you are not meshing well with the group, or you're creating within the group. So how are we going to fix this? Are you going to walk to the beach 8 times? Or are you going to go home? Like, what do we I feel like having those uncomfortable conversations are important.
Yeah. Very important. Yeah. But I'm not, you know what, because I think for me, and I'll be very honest and candid, because of the line of work I already do, I feel like now, and for me in that situation, I feel like I got to be Miss Maria. Like, you understand? And Miss Maria is the instructor, the person, the coach. I don't want to have to do that on vacation. Not at my group. And now we some grown ASS women. It's like, ain't no reason that we fit in the head and have issues. But I know we'll talk about horror stories in a second. So I'll wait till we get to share my pieces on that.
So when you're going on a girls trip, what boundaries or rules would you set for your friend?
Oh, what boundaries? I don't know if this is necessarily boundary, but an expectation around money. I think that is a conversation that needs to be had when you are going on a girls trip or any friends trip, guys trip, how money is. Because again, you have people who are a little bit more frugal than others. I'm going to be nice and say it like that, and set your expectations for the trip, right? So like, for our girls trips, like, there have been activities that we know we're going to do collectively, and or I'll say, okay, I want to do A, B, C, D. some person will like, oh, I'll do B and C, or I'll only do A, or you know what, as a group, let's just only do A, B. Like having those conversations, and then when I'm like, well, that's gonna cost 75 more, that's gonna cost 125 more. I think that's something we set at the very beginning. Like, okay, girl, I'm gonna try to do this, I'm gonna do that. So when we went to St. Lucia, there were certain activities, and it was because it was my birthday. I was like, well, I need to do this on my birthday, and I also want to do this, and then we also wanted to do another thing. But the third thing, by the end of the trip, we were all tired, and nobody really went to kids spending money like that. We were like, nah, we're good. They was like, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I think like having no expectations around money, because if there's anything that brings a girls trip or any group trip down, is the fact that some people want to do this, some people want to do that, and just being clear. And if you're that friend who doesn't have the money, I feel like then you should say something like, you know, hey, wait, see, Rabbit, I'm talking about girls trip. Rabbit just cut on. I'm talking about money and just expectations. And we had a great girls trip in St. Lucia. You guys here, Rabbit? Yes, you did. So that's what I'm saying. Like just having those expectations about like if there was any boundary, I think you got to have communications about like who's gonna what we spending and who feels comfortable doing what and what for a girls trip. What about you? What are boundaries that you would set with your friends for a girls trip?
I feel like because of how young we are, like the finances is definitely top on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of times people are uncomfortable with being like, hey, like I only saved up this amount because I want to do it. And then when it comes down to like these fancy dinners and excursions, everybody's like, well, I'm not paying for that or extra. So I feel like making sure that you are having those financial conversations. For this trip, I made an itinerary. So I feel like that's an important rule to have. You don't stick to it to like give everybody an idea of like, hey, I want to do these things. This is how much it's going to potentially cost. Let me know if you're comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
If you're a part of that. That's what saved me this trip, because everybody's like, oh, I'm down to do this, or hey, like maybe it should just be like you and your close friends beach and blah blah blah, which is fine. So that's very important. I feel like if it's a girls trip where everybody may not be too acquainted, even though, but if it is that, making sure, I would feel like having like sort of dinner, a brunch, or something prior, so that we're all
that's good.
getting each other. And other than that, I guess not treating it like bad girls club, but having like some house rules, like some people have different cleaning habits, different.
Okay.
You're like, hey, like this is how we're gonna do things. If you use a dish, wash it, blah blah blah, after yourself. Just basic things. Even though we all should know these things, it's good to still reiterate them. So I feel like those are rules.
And true, and you know what? It would behoove us if we didn't talk about like, especially as you start traveling in your 20s and stuff like that. People tend to, you know, you might meet somebody on a trip, right? So if you're rooming with someone, like having that clear conversation about does that person feel, you know, can we keep it real? Because I'm not fitting to be up here lying and acting like we not and things don't happen, right? Especially on vacations. So I think that's something that you want to communicate with your girlfriends. If you know that's the one friend that likes to slide off with someone or she with someone, is like, okay, make sure you come back to the room. Or if we all go out, especially if you're on a resort or something like that, and if you're all leaving the resort, we need to make sure we all come back to this resort together. Like, you know, like setting those type of safety precautions. Like, if you are going to meet somebody, girl, don't bring them back to this room. Like, you know, because those are things that happen on girls trips, especially when you're 19, 20, 21, 22, and you're in college. You go on that first like spring break with your friends. That's what happens. And if some people, I've been in those situations where some people may be accustomed to moving a certain type of way, and some people may not, and some people may feel uncomfortable. So you want to make sure, like, okay, if I meet somebody, is it okay? You know, things like that. I'm trying to be honest and real, because you know it happens, and we would be lying if we said talk about girl trips or guy trips and friends trips and act like hooking up with people doesn't happen. And you know, hey, some people meet their spouses on vacation. So hey, let me tell you, if you make a love connection on a vacation, you connect with that love. That's how I feel. Okay.
Right. As long as you're doing it in a respectful way, hey, by all means.
Respectful and responsible way, like that's something too. And then that, like, sometimes it'll be like a guy group meet a girls group. That is very common on vacation, right? So it's like you and your girls, that guy and his guys, and y'all all link up. But again, having those conversations about safety and precautionary measures, like, listen, okay, we are not going to get in their car, or we are not going to do this, or we are going to do this. Whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat, you understand? But just being clear about those conversations, because some people may be into something and some people may not be, and you have to respect people's boundaries around that.
100%, for sure. So I feel like we've been getting, into like the bad stuff. But what's like a fun memory that you've had from a girls' trip?
That I'll share on social media, because some things are just between me and my gal pals. I've had amazing memories on girls' trip. I think recently back to St. Lucia. And I think that trip was so important because all of us needed it. Like, all of us were at a place where we were like, I need this trip. So that trip, we took mud baths, and like volcanic mud baths in St. Lucia together. And when we came out, our skin, it looked like God had kissed our skin. Like, I remember even when we came back to the resort, people were like, you guys' skin, like, we were like glowing. So taking those volcanic mud baths, like, we always have that together. And I remember, like, I was like, I am not getting in that, because if you look at it, it's just like it's like it looks like you're getting in mud. So I was like, I am not getting in mud. So that was a fun memory that I had, taking mud baths in the middle of a volcanic, like a volcano. The volcano wasn't erupting that day, thankfully, but we were in the middle of a volcano taking a mud bath, and that was really fun and cool.
That sounds dope.
What about you?
Do I have a fun memory? Well, going back to like that birthday Airbnb vibe that I had. So one night we decided that we were gonna have like a color party. So everybody had to make a drink in a dish, and with whatever color that you had. So like smoothies, lemonades, whatever. It was so cute. We had like desserts. A lot of my friends can throw down in the kitchen. So it was actually very,
that sounds fun.
It was. And then we did karaoke night. Now, Lord knows I'm not blessed with singing genes. So it was so fun. And it was a birthday I will definitely remember. So I feel like that was very fun. And I'm excited to make more fun memories for the upcoming birthday trip, because it's Miami. So
it's Miami, and it's your 21st. Oh my gosh. I will say this sidebar. Don't put too much expectations on trips like that. Like, I feel like sometimes when you're like, oh my God, it's my 21st, it's my 25th, it's my 30th, it's my 35th, it's my 40th, whatever. You put so much pressure on the trip and you expect everything to run perfectly. It's like, nah, leave room for, some things to happen, for life to happen, and for things not to go perfectly, and for it to go the way it's supposed to go. Like, sometimes you get so down on yourself, especially around like 21, and those birthdays, like 18, 21, 25, you're like, oh my God, it's like, you're gonna have a good time. Chill out. Like, you understand? Like, enjoy the moment. If something happens, don't let it get under your skin. If somebody didn't show up, don't let it get under your skin. Just keep on going and have a good time.
Right. And I feel like I need to tell myself that. I'm like, what if it rains, or what if it does this? And it's just like, if it rains,
you can't control that. Like, if it rains, and it's like, focus on what you can control and believe for the best, and make the most out of it. Like, girls trips, guys trips, friends trips, sometimes things don't go the way you expected, but it's supposed to go the way it was supposed to happen, if that makes sense.
100%. Well, on the flip side, what is a horror story that you have from a girls trip?
Child, let me tell you the story. This is music industry Maria, right? This is when, again, I'm in my 20s at the time. I had just started traveling for work and vacationing and all that. And we decided to it was like a girl/work trip. So I was with some coworkers who had now come over to like be more my friends. And we went to Essence Music Festival. This is back in 2009. Isis, you were a baby. You were probably like in 5th grade, right? So this is 2009. We went to Essence Music Festival. And I had been doing a lot of traveling during that time, like just for work. So for this, although I didn't have any work on my calendar, I knew it was a work related, you know, it was a music industry thing. So I knew there was gonna be work people there. So this is when I learned, oh God, you got to know your people's personalities. So one of my coworker friends, she had created an itinerary, and she had a more of a particular style where she was more like thinking about doing beignets and fancy schmancy stuff. And then I got my homegirls, and you know, she's not from New York. She's actually from the South. And I got my other homegirls, my Brooklyn and my Bronx home. They're a little bit more, you know, they got a little more edge to them. So they want to be on Bourbon Street. They want to drink the Hurricanes and all that other stuff. They want to chill, eat the crawfish. I had been to New Orleans already. So I was like, yo, the people in New Orleans is dope. Like, New Orleans is I to go on record, it is one of my favorite cities to go to. So I said, nah, I'm trying to get some crawfish, like, I'm trying to chill with the people, do the good music. So my friend who had the itinerary, we're going to do this at 3:30 and this at 4:30 and 5 o'clock. And then it was a clash between her and then the friends who were more like, nah, we just trying to chill on Bourbon Street. We just trying to walk around. Like, we not trying to do all that bougie stuff. And the trip went south from there. It was just like, you know, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Oh, why they not want to do this and why we do that? Oh, Maria. And then she coming at me crazy. And I was just like, okay, let me tell you what I'm not fitting to do. Like, you know, we are in New Orleans. Beyonce was headlining, and we all had tickets. Because remind you, this is a work, so it's not. We all had tickets to the concert. So if we didn't have regular tickets, like I said, This is when I was at the label. We had front row. I said, I could feel Beyonce sweat. And you want to hear and argue about who's doing what, who's not doing what, why she not doing this, why she not doing that. I was like, by the time that trip was over, it was like our friendship was just not the same after that. And I just remember it was just, she had so much pressure on everyone doing what she wanted us to do. And it just went south. And then again, you have different personalities. I had the friends who was like, they should have compromised. Yeah, you know, it was a lot. And I'm stuck in the middle because I'm very, if anybody knows me, I'm very go with the flow. But then there's certain things I'm flowing. I'm not gonna go with. I'm like, I'm not finna do that. Like, that's not what I'm gonna do. So it was just back and forth. So let me tell you, I was very happy to leave that trip a little early. I had to leave early because I had to get to another city. But I was like, yeah. So that was my girls' trip. That was my girls' horror trip. That I was just like, yeah, never again. That's when I realized you can't travel with just anyone. You cannot. Let me tell you, you could be real cool with people, but I'm not fitting to travel with just anybody. Like, people have different personalities and different expectations. What about you? Any girls trip horror stories?
Pertaining back to this trip that I'm talking about. So I had a birthday dinner. You know, I love my good dinner. It wasn't an expensive restaurant. It was pretty, I guess you could call it like normal, regular price. Especially for someone around my age. I was 19 at the time. So, whatever. Sitting down, it's my birthday. Of course, I'm ordering what I want. I had a little churrasco, you know. Everybody's getting what they want, which is fine. Going back to this one homegirl. So she only got like appetizers, like one little drink, you know, nothing crazy, which is perfectly fine. Eat what you want, drink what you want. And then the bill came. And we're all like figuring it out. Now it's my birthday, so I have no problem paying for my own meal. But my best friend was like, "Oh, I got you. Like, it's your birthday. I'm gonna pay for your meal."
Which is common etiquette. I hate going out for people's birthdays, and I see people letting the birthday person pay for their own stuff. I think that's common etiquette. That's happened to me on my birthday, and I was like, that's not even cool. Like, if you going out for someone's birthday, that person should never have to come out their pocket. That's just how I roll. But you know, everybody doesn't think like us, honey. But go ahead.
Yeah, I personally don't like that either. I was willing to pay for my own meal, but she was like, "No, I'm gonna pay for it." Cool. So everybody's like, all right, we spent this amount of money. Let's just divvy it up equally. So everybody's going to pay like $35. That's nothing, to be
Right.
honest.
It's what, $35? That is like, I wish I would go out to dinner and they'd be like, the bill was $35. I would be like, you sure?
Did you forget a zero or something?
I would. That's exactly what. Did you forget a zero? Yeah.
Which is fine. So I had 10 people there. Everybody had to pay 35 each. I didn't pay anything, so my friend was paying 70. And then the girl that was getting like the appetizer and stuff was like, oh, my little appetizer was only $16. Like, why am I giving 35? Blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just like, oh, like, you think about it in this way, like gratuity, X, Y, and Z. I'm like,
Taxes.
right. I'm like, we're splitting it evenly. I'm like, 35 is really not that bad. Like, so now I'm coming out. I'm like, if it's gonna be an issue, like, I'll pay the 35. Like, it's fine. And she's just making a big fuss. And we're going back and forth. Now it's like, all right, the waiter wants somebody's card, wants somebody's cash. We're all like, we're willing to pay. Like, what's the problem? And she's just making a big, to the point where she's like, oh, I'm done with this. Oh, and she leaves. She left. She left cold turkey. So I ended up paying for her meal, like for her $35.
On your birthday? What?
It took a very long time for me to be comfortable speaking with her again because I was upset, of course.
Of course.
Like, out of all times to do that, even you shouldn't be doing it at all, but out of all times, like, why that time? Especially if I was willing to pay. Everybody was like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'll throw in extra, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it was just like why? Like, why? Like, why even do that? So that was very traumatic for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, I tried to get all my friends together and this is what's happening. Like, now everybody in the restaurant looking at us like, oh, these kids. Like, I don't want that. So yeah, that was my horror story.
Oh my gosh, I hate that. And it's just like, again, you're young, so you're probably unfortunately going to run into that a little more. I think as the older you get, the more people have an understanding, especially like with group dinners. I tell people, like, back in the day, it was issue. I've planned and attended my fair share of group dinners, like, especially at the label, my birthdays, family members' birthdays, like, group dinners I've been doing them at least for a good strong 15 years now. And back in the day, I always used to tell people, yo, bring cash, because right now you have Zelle, Cash App, and it's like it could go on one person's card, one person could Zelle one person's card and then Zelle. But back in the day, they never wanted to swipe more than like 2 cards, and then it was issues. So like, I just tell people, bring cash to pay for your stuff. And like, when you're at a group meal like that, it doesn't benefit you to only get little things, because unless it's going to be separate bills, you're going to end up paying for everybody else's stuff anyway. So let's say if it's like 7 of us, right? And I'm eating appetizers, getting a meal, and drinking. And then you're just getting appetizers. Like, it's going to distribute itself. So you might as well get your meals and your appetizers too, if that makes sense. You know, like, you might as well, because you're not going to end up, it's not going to work for you. Like, so I tell people with group dinners and group situations, just, if I go to a group dinner and I spend less than $100, I'm like very impressed. When I sit down at a group dinner and I see it's all of us and we all eating and drinking, I do not plan on coming out my pocket less than $150 at all. At all. If that bill come to less than $100, oh, it's only $120. Like, what? Okay, that's cool, because you got to think gratuity, taxes, all of that as added on to the bill. So I think when you're younger, and a lot of people, like you said, Gen Z, maybe young folks haven't been exposed to like going out to group dinners and things like that. So they think, okay, I'm just going to go get my little $15 meal, and it doesn't work like that. So on girls trips, especially if y'all going to Miami, y'all going to Vegas, and y'all going to all these nice fancy schmancy restaurants, and there's a group dinner, warn people in advance. Like, you said you have your itinerary, I would even put like, expect to spend like $200 at that spot. And if you don't have it, that way, to avoid that stuff, like that weirdness when that check comes, just stay home. Just stay at the Airbnb and, skip out on the dinner, and we're all going to go out to the dinner.
Right? Or even like you said, if you need to get a separate bill, then do that too. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
you do that and pay for your own stuff than we having to have
Yeah.
like a fiasco. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Because money, people, I'm telling you, money, people get funny when it comes to money. So it's like, you just be like, just pay yours, whatever you need to do. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, like, in terms of girls trips, like, how do you feel about splitting the bill, you personally? But you already answered, like, if you don't end up spending less than 120, then you're just like, what's so
I'm like, oh, it was
that's
good. Yeah, yeah. Like I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Like, cause at this point, like, it's like, what are we dibbling dabbling for? Like, it's gonna be what, $10, $20. Recently, I had a situation where we all went out to dinner and there was an issue around the bill, and then there were certain things I could have said, but I was just like, I'm not gonna bitch over $30. Like, I'm sorry for using the language, but I was like, I'm just like, it's $30. It's $30. I know certain things, but it's just like, whatever. I was just like, I'm just gonna take the L. Like, I'm not even gonna go and for what? For what? It's just like, so just it's certain things again around money, just managing expectations and who's gonna spend and what we gonna do and blah 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 blah. So yeah.
Mhm. I feel the same way. I feel like if it's 8 of us going out and our bill is such and such and we split
Mm-hmm.
it evenly, that's fine. I think that it becomes an issue only if somebody is just like overdoing it and they know that's not in their budget. Like
Okay.
they're getting like this a ribeye, X, Y, and
Mm-hmm.
Z, all these drinks, and then when it comes to us splitting the bill or whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
may be, it's like, oh well, I don't even have that. So it's like, why did you order
Why
that?
did you order
Did you
that?
think that we were gonna cover you because we were
Mm-hmm.
splitting it? It's like, you got to be practical. So, but I don't mind splitting it evenly.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question for you is, how do you do with friends that are Debbie Downers who don't want to participate in trips, like excursions and activities?
I don't invite those type of people on vacation. I don't go on vacation with those type of people. Like, let me tell you, the older you get, the more you have no problem hurting someone else's feelings to manage your own emotional, spiritual, and mental health. Like, I just don't go on to trips with Debbie Downers. Like, that's not my crew. None of us are. Like, anybody who knows, like, my friends, like my peoples, they knows how we are. Like, we are gonna ha 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 kiki. We make friends with strangers. We're gonna know everybody on the resort's name by the time we leave. We gonna make. That's how we are. We're mad cool, mad down to earth. So if you got that Debbie Downer energy, I'm not. First, I'm not going on a trip with you. But if it's in a trip that you're just there and it's like not my trip, which has happened to me recently as well, I'm not gonna let you Debbie down me. Like, you're not gonna take I'm not gonna, whatever it is that you got going on, still my joy. So I'm just like, no. Now, one thing I wanted to mention about the money that I forgot to say that I think a lot of people also forget is tipping. I have a problem with friends who don't tip. And
Hmm.
actually, I'm glad that none of my friends are like that. Like, all of my friends were generous. We understand. Like, we like, nah, we're gonna tip. But I think it's important, especially if you're going on all inclusive things, to remember to walk around that resort with cash. So like, just because it's all inclusive does not mean that you don't tip the bartender, you don't tip the waitress, you don't tip, whoever did just, gave you a massage. I think that's also important to let people know that when you're on vacation and girls trips, please don't be that one cheap friend that's like, what am I tipping for? I'm like, oh gosh, like,
Girl, for your service. Like, duh.
and some people think that when you're on like all inclusive and stuff like that, it's like, no, you still have to tip. You still walk around that resort with cash and you still tip them. Although it's not mandatory, it's just etiquette that
Hmm.
I think people sometimes forget to say. But yeah, back to Debbie Downers, I don't travel with those type of people, and those
Hmm.
type of people, they're not gonna down my Debbie. Like, no, no. So, what about you?
Honestly, I don't like that. Like
Hmm.
if I give you the itinerary and you're like, yeah, I'm on board, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, but it's like you really don't have a real reason. It's just like,
Hmm.
oh, I can't force anybody to do anything. All I know is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna have me some fun.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna stay in the Airbnb and you're not gonna put your toes in the water and not gonna be on the
Hmm.
beach, whatever, then that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're gonna vacation. You do that by yourself.
Yep.
Not with
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I don't deal with that. Like, I know what I go on vacation for, to have a good time, forget about what I have going on at home and in this real life.
Enjoy. Yeah.
So if you're
Are
gonna be a
you
Debbie Downer,
you not gonna down my Debbie. I'm gonna sit on this beach. I'm gonna have fun and yeah. So have fun without them, and the show must go on. And I'm a people person, so I know how to make friends anyway. So if y'all debbing me down, I will go and make friends with the next group over there and have fun by myself. So that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm. So when you've been on a girls trip, have you ever had a moment when you come home and you're like, "Ooh, I don't think we could be friends after that trip"?
Yeah, that New Orleans trip. It wasn't that we
Oh.
couldn't be friends. I mean, I already kind of knew how this person moved a little bit, so I just knew after that trip that things would just work. It was gonna be a little different. It was, and I was cool with that. Like, it wasn't like this was one of like my bestie boo things. It was just, like I said, a coworker, colleague who turned into friend, and I was just like, okay, well, there went that. I wasn't going to lose sleep about it. And I think that if a vacation can break up a friendship, then damn, was it really a friendship, or what really happened on that vacation? Like you said, maybe like that you said, that was real, that you have to pay for somebody else on your birthday. But I think, like, yeah, again, like, I'm very cognizant of who I decide to do things with, and I would not go on a vacation with someone that I feel like there would be an issue after the vacation. So, but then again, you don't know. You never know what happens.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about like leaving early, but I know you told me like that you already had something prior, so you had to end up leaving early, which is good because I feel like it would
Good.
have gotten worse.
Good. I left that trip about a day early, and I was very happy. I said, "Oh, I gotta go to Philly," and I definitely was out, so I had to be in another city. And thankfully enough, it all worked out. So.
Okay. I've never done that. Of course, I haven't really been on a girls trip per se, but if it came down to it, it's my peace over anything. So if I gotta go home, I'm gonna go home. I will boot myself off the island because I'm gonna.
I'm gonna boot myself up. This is, to me, like, recently I had a girls trip that wasn't. It was just special, right? That's all I'm gonna call it. I had fun. I was like, oh, what y'all not fitting to do is ruin my vacation. So I had fun. Like I did. There was a lot of stuff going on in that trip, a lot of drama, you know how it is. And I was just like, I'm gonna have fun. And honestly, I would have, to be very frank, on that trip, when I came back, somebody was like, how was it? I said, I would have liked to stay longer, but just not with that group. Like,
Right.
be honest.
And that's fair.
Like, I was like, oh, I would love to stay a little longer, just not with them.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's a good idea, like when you are doing these girls trips? This is my last question, by the way. Do you think it's a good idea to mix your friend groups? Like, you know how you have your certain homegirls on this side, and then the other ones you try to mend them together. Would you add family into the mix? Like, how do you like to group together your trips?
I think if it's something significant for me, let's say if it's a birthday or just like a girls trip, again, I know whose personalities would clash with other people. So I would try not to invite those people. Or I just know, your people, your family, your people. So I say it's okay to blend them, but also just be aware of certain personalities. Like, I know who's going to be the cheap one. I know who's going to be the one to be like, do this, whatever. So I think it's important that, yes, you can blend those groups. Just be aware of people's personalities. Like, there's certain personalities that I would just never put on a trip together because I know this would go left. So just be aware of that, and then if those type of personalities do end up coming on a trip together, having a talk with the more mature one, like like, girl, let me prep you for her. You understand? Like, this is how she is. Please don't take it personally. That's just how she is. I think that's important. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
For me, I don't mix family and friends. Like
You don't?
I don't. It's nothing personal against my family or my friends. It's just like I like to keep the two separate, only because
Mm-hmm.
my family knows me how my family knows me,
Mm-hmm.
and my friends know me how my friends do. I just can't see them coming together. I feel like the only person I would ever let be around my family is like my close best friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I am. I wouldn't like have like, oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna bring my cousins onto this trip. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I feel like everybody has such different personalities, just such different upbringings that I know it wouldn't mix well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna save myself the trouble.
Got it. Just save yourself the trouble. Yeah, I think for me, like my friends, everybody knows my friends and family. Like we all kind of know each other. But then I get there's certain friends who are like more outspoken, who just, I'm like, all right, I know what to expect from her. So let me just prep the other one what to deal with over there, especially when it comes to mixing family and friends. But I
Mm-hmm.
think, one thing I'm grateful is I have an amazing group of friends and I have amazing family members, and all of which most of us who have done the work, who've healed, who we have these conversations, like we are not 21 no more. We there's certain things that you just know better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at this stage in the game, you should just know better. So that's what it comes down to.
Right. That might change as I get older, but right now, I don't like to mix the two.
Yeah,
But that was my last question.
that
That
was
was girls trip do's and don'ts.
girls trips, do's and don'ts. Is there any do or don't that we missed from having a girls trip?
Anybody can add it on, and we're gonna post it on our
No, I'm
page.
saying
So,
even you. Like, is
oh,
there
me?
a girls trip do it don't that you think we forgot to add to the list?
A do or don't. Do.
We talked about
Take
tipping.
pictures. Take lots of
Pictures. Oh
pictures.
my God, that part. We totally forgot about that's a do. That is totally a do. Pictures. And you have to have the right person take the pictures. Like there is
I'm gonna
one
take the picture.
family member of mine who she is going to get the shot, honey. Come hell. Hey boo, hey Lucinda.
Hi.
She is gonna get the shot going. And speaking of girls trip, Lucinda does this amazing trip for businesswomen and entrepreneurs. I think that's amazing. That's another thing we didn't talk about, like girls trips that have a duality to them. That is like, okay, we're all entrepreneurs, we're all this. I think that's dope. I've never done something like that.
That would
I
be
would
very
love to do
interesting.
something nice. You understand? Like a nice girls trip where it's like everybody's a boss and all this other stuff like that. I think will be really dope. Something like that I think is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have anything else to add? I definitely think memories and pictures is very important. I think that's cute. I don't have any more don'ts. Just make sure that you're setting boundaries. Make sure your money's right, and don't be
Mhm.
funny when you're on the trips. Be
Don't
nice.
be
Let's
nice.
have some fun.
Very nice. And then too, like napping. I know some people have issues with people who take naps on trips. Like, I don't mind if somebody takes a nap. Like, do I take naps on trips? Not really. But I remember one time I went on a trip and I was skiing on someone because, it wasn't a girl trip actually. It was like he kept on waking up late, and I was like, oh my God, let's go. And he was like, yo, I'm on vacation. Like, I'm not trying to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I think like those type of things, like being okay with people's schedules. Some people on vacation, they are up at 7 o'clock in the morning and they are on the beach. Some people like, please do not see me until 11 a.m. So I think like also like being like okay with other people's sleep patterns on vacation is important.
And then also thinking about it, like if you're gonna be rooming with somebody, understanding their sleeping habits, their living habits, and how you guys are gonna clash or mesh
Yeah,
together. It really depends. That too.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. So I think that was it. I think we covered all the girls' trips. Do's and don'ts. Make sure your money's right. Don't act funny. Set boundaries. Don't take things personally. If somebody's
Hmm.
not with you 24/7, if she want to go woosah on the beach,
Let
let
her
her
do
go woosah
that.
on the beach. Oh, one thing I want to mention. On a girls' trip, I happened to end up in a room by myself, right? It just didn't work out. People started dropping out last minute, left and right. That was the best thing I could have done for that girls trip, for that particular group, because it allowed me to like get away from like this, you know, whatever was going on, and just go retreat. So when they were starting to, I was like, well, it's time for me to go back to my room, like, you know, and it was chill. Like at the end of the night, I loved that. I loved that. Like at the end of the night, I could go back to my suite, chill. I don't have to worry about anything, because I'm a neat freak. And a lot of my friends are not. They get dressed and they throw everything all over the place, and there's makeup all over the floor. I know what to expect. I know some of my friends are messy. That's cool. But that was so dope. Like going back to my room and not having anyone there. I was like, and then on my balcony chilling. So that's just something to consider. Like sometimes if you know you're in a certain type of friend group that may stress you out, get your own room. You'll thank me later.
Piece of advice from the inspirational homegirl, y'all.
Yeah. All right. So that was it. That was fun.
That was fun. I enjoyed this conversation. I'll be taking all this advice to Miami.
All right. Well, take pictures in Miami. Have a good time. This was our Embrace Her Legacy Live Girls Trips Do's and Don'ts. I know we have Labor Day weekend coming up, so there'll probably be some people making some girls trip moves. So let's see them. Let's see them pictures, and let's have fun. Oh, and another thing that's fun too is having those like white nights. You know, those coordinated nights.
Yo.
What is it with black people, us and white? Like, we're gonna have a white night on a
We have to. Every time. Don't matter what it is. Just one time.
Every trip black woman get on, there's going to be an all white night. So respecting the all white night, keeping that tradition going, like doing fun stuff like that, that's cool. Like one time we did an all white night, we did a pink night, we did a animal print themed night. Like those type of things are cute because of pictures. You be like, oh, that was dope. Like, yeah. So having those.
It might end up on our page, dressing like
yes,
that. So
you might end up on somebody's travel noir page. Yes, you might. So yeah. All right. Well, that's it. If anything else comes to mind, y'all drop us in the comments and let us know. But thank you, Isis. This was fun.
This was very, very fun. Tune in. We will be back soon. If the technical difficulties allow, we will be back.
We'll be back. We're taking a little break to woosah and come back in a couple weeks. But we'll be back.
It was a pleasure. Hope everybody has a good night. I hope you have a good night. And
all right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.